I welcome you to a two-part series addressing leadership. Today our guest is author of a book that is of great interest, and we're going to, on these two programs, discuss with him the contents of the book, and it is titled Leadership for All the Mountains You Climb, with the subtitle While Loving the View. It is published by Author House, and it is available. We'll talk more about it. It's on the screen now, as you can see, and very interesting book. Our guest comes to us with some really impressive credentials. First of all, he served in the United States Army for 20 years, where he left with the rank of major. Mr. Mark Altman holds a bachelor's degree in applied arts and sciences, history, political science from Stephen F. Austin State University. He also received a master's from the same institution in interdisciplinary leadership, political science, and counseling. Our guest at the moment is working on his PhD at Gonzaga University, again in leadership studies. So, Mark, it's a pleasure welcoming you to the program, and you certainly come with very interesting credentials, and we appreciate the opportunity to examine your book with you.
Well, thank you very much. I appreciate the opportunity. The first initial study of leadership was a trait theory based, where people viewed it that leaders had certain traits, superior intelligence, strength, those kind of traits, and that those traits were what made someone a good leader. After a period of time, we realized that trait theory had some limitations, and so we then began to look at a leader's behaviors. And again, behaviors were then taken into account, that leaders had certain behaviors. In some cases, aggression, being articulate, charisma, some of those kinds of behaviors. And again, we found that that behavior model had some limitations. And so the next thing to be looked at were situations. We've often heard of it said of presidents, do presidents make the time, or do the times make the president? That's where some of that comes from. And so we moved to a situational based model. And again, we found that that model had some limitations. In modern times, or in current times, leadership theory has now come back around a bit to the trait-based model. We do realize, even though we had kind of debunked that model long ago, we're now realizing that, no, wait a minute, leaders do have certain traits, and in fact, they do exhibit certain behaviors. And in fact, if you put a leader in the right situation, they'll do well, and if you put them in the wrong situation, very often they won't do well. And so we're beginning to come around to a more holistic view that any one of those theories is not necessarily right, but that all of them in total deliver a better picture.